Tarek Nahabet. I am a leadership trainer and coach with Gulf Coast Coaching. And I want to just a special thanks to the IdeaWorks committee for inviting me to speak here today. Many of you I have met, so some of you know a little bit about me. For those of you who I haven't met, I'm going to give you just a very brief background on myself, where I come from, before I launch into my presentation today, which is leadership lessons from the new guy in town. So born in New York, raised in Massachusetts, went to Boston College, for all you FSU fans out there. We can watch a game. After college, I went to Egypt, and I lived there for 4 years, studying Arabic and teaching math and English. I came back to the United States and lived in New Mexico for 2 years. Then I went on to Washington, D.C., did a master's degree program in international conflict resolution. At the same time, I started my leadership trainer and coach program. I came to Panama City Beach in December 2012, so I've been here 7 months. My first 3, I was a bit of a hermit, because that's a long story. I can tell you more about that. But I've been active now here in the community with my own business for the last 4 months. All right, so I want your guys' participation as well. So if I ask you a question, will you guys be willing to throw out some answers? Awesome, thank you. So I started to prepare for this presentation about 2 weeks ago. I got the invitation from Lance, and the first thing that went through my mind was, sweet, I get to talk at IdeaCamps. And then I went, oh God, what am I going to talk about? Okay, because I had just gotten here to the community. I hadn't really met anybody. And at the same time, I'm sort of teaching a program right now on connecting with other people in our line of business. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, how can I connect with my audience here? I don't know many of you, and I know some of you, but not very well. So I want to make sure that I connect with you, and because I want to live out what it is that I'm actually preaching, okay? So what are some of the initial thoughts that I had going through my mind? So here's where you guys get to participate with me a little bit, all right? How many of you have a lot going on in life? Yes, me too, all right? How many of you wonder how it all fits together? Sweet. How many of you have something in life that just isn't going as well as you would like it to? All right, we're getting a little closer, right? How many of you have something in life that is going well? Yeah, exactly, okay? So right there, we build a little rapport, okay? So I want to share with you, in trying to think about what I was going to talk about tonight, my leadership training kicked in automatically for me. And this is leadership lesson number 1 for you guys today. I've got 11 of them. Hopefully I'll get through all of them in the 15 minutes. But when you're frustrated, like I was a couple of weeks ago, trying to figure out what it is I'm going to talk to you about, what did I do? I just took a deep breath. I stopped what I was doing. I sat down and I said, okay, I'm just going to think about this for about 20 minutes, and I started writing. So just taking the time to put everything else aside, stop, sit, write, and just let the ideas start to come to you, okay? So that's leadership lesson number 1. Here's another question for you. How many of you have experienced a divorce in your family? Sucks, doesn't it? My parents are at the tail end of a divorce. It's been going on for about 4 years now. Knock on wood, it's almost over. But that's been one of the most frustrating things for me in the last 4 years. Leadership lesson number 2. How do I take something that's not working for me in my life and make it work? I hadn't talked to my father for about 2 years up until recently, and that just wasn't working for me. I wanted to have a relationship with him. He wanted to have a relationship with me, but I had taken on just not talking to him because I was frustrated with the situation. So what did I do? I was what I would call just being with the situation. And what does that mean? That means that I was just totally accepting of the fact that this is how it is, and there's not much that I can actually do about it. But in accepting the situation and accepting him for who he is, it opened up a space for me just to be able to pick up the phone and give him a call and say, how you doing? Hope all is well. Here's what's going on with me. It's not perfect. Okay, there's still a lot of stuff for us to work through, but it's a start, and it's a whole lot better than what it was not talking to him. So the leadership lesson is all about just being accepting of what's going on in our lives at the moment. Okay, so in business, how many of you are business owners? Many of us, okay? And how many of us are employees? Okay, I'm an employee of my own business, right? And leadership lesson number 3, in business, what's one of the most important things that we can do? Take time to reflect, all right? Every week we have, how many of you guys have meetings all week long? Yeah. How many of you give presentations or have to run a meeting, right? One of the things that you can do to help with your productivity is to just take time to reflect on how well that meeting went, whether you're on the receiving end or on the giving end of the presentation. What went well, what didn't go well, what can I learn, and what can I do better for next time, okay? And it kind of circles back to the whole preparation thing. When you prepare for your meetings well, you're going to get the most out of them. If you don't, well, you know what happens. So just take some time to reflect. Why? Because that's when ideas start to come up. That's when your creativity gets kicked up. That's when your insights can lead to your inspiration in how you want to make your presentation, how you want to conduct your meeting. So always take time to reflect for yourselves. Okay, leadership lesson number 6. Why study leadership? Because leadership determines our success. It's kind of subject to what we call the law of the lid, okay? I'm a John Maxwell coach. You'll hear me make reference to John Maxwell quite a bit. But the law of the lid says our ability to succeed, okay, is determined by our level of leadership. Now here's the good news. If we're on a scale of 1 to 10, if we're at a 3 or a 4 or a 5, that's okay. No judgment. But you can blow up that lid. You can raise your lid. You can raise and develop your leadership skills and ability. But don't limit your success by not considering that you can increase in your own personal development and your leadership skills. Leadership lesson number 7. Am I on 7? I think so. How much time do we got to? Who's to? Good. Leadership development is a process, subject to a process. Success is a process. It doesn't happen just in one day or overnight. It happens day by day, month by month, year by year, okay? So if you are committed to and can be intentional in developing your own leadership success and your leadership abilities over time, then you increase your chances for success. How many of you have been in business for 2 years or less? Okay, a couple of us. How many 2 to 5 years? Well, not me, okay. How many 5 to 10 years? Okay, 10 plus? Okay, right? The longer you're in business, in theory, the more success you hope to have, right? Yeah, okay. So if you don't mind my asking, have you taken time to reflect and learn and continuously develop yourself and figure out what's going to work for your business? Yeah, okay. And your name? Lori. Nice to meet you, Lori. What kind of business do you have? Ah, okay. Retail, all right. How many lessons do you think you've learned over that 10-year period? 20 years. 20 years, okay. How many lessons do you think you've learned in that 20-year period? And you've applied them to your business, right? And I think I recognize the name Lori Olszewski, if I got that right. Okay, and I think I read an article in the Circuit magazine. You know, she's got a very successful retail business over in Pier Park. Okay, 20 years putting in the time and the energy to have a successful business. So congratulations. All right. So leadership lesson number 8, okay? Preparation. We got to prepare ourselves in order to go out there and work on our businesses, work on our families, right? Business is not the only area of life that's important to us. So if we take time to prepare ourselves, prepare for the meeting, prepare for the presentation, okay, then we increase our chances of success, productivity, and efficiency. Dan and I didn't plan our presentations at all today. He talked about some suggested books. On your tables, I actually put together a book list for everybody of books that I have read over the last 4 years that have made a huge difference for me. And that's what's helped me to prepare for today and the business that I'm involved in. If there are not enough copies, please just email me. I'm happy to send it to you via email. I want to talk to you about the 4 steps of learning. How many of you have ever heard of the 4 steps of learning who haven't heard me talk already? Good, all right. In preparation and in business, we do things, some things come to us very naturally, very easily, right? Do you guys have to think about what your name is? No. Do you have to think about how to tie your shoe if you wear tie-on laced shoes? Sometimes, okay. When we know something naturally and we do it second nature without having to think about it, we actually are in the 4th level of learning, all right? But in order to get to that 4th level of learning, we have to go through the first 3 steps. So what are the first 3 steps? The first one is something called unconscious incompetence. It's when you don't know that you don't know something. So right there, I just got you all, right? You didn't know that you didn't know about unconscious incompetence. But in a moment, you guys then move to level 2, conscious incompetence. You know that you don't know about unconscious incompetence in the 4 steps of learning. Then you get level 3, conscious competence. That's when we take what it is we're learning and start thinking about it, start practicing it, start making a part of our lives day in and day out. Hopefully it's a good habit, not a bad habit, all right? And eventually, it's like driving home. How many of you really have to think about how to drive home now? Yeah, you just kind of get there, right? But at one point, you had to think about what direction do you have to go in. That was level 3, conscious competence. You're practicing it. But eventually, you move on to not having to think about it anymore, and you become unconsciously competent in that skill. Okay? So I've got 2 minutes, 2 minutes left. Leadership lesson number 10, I think I may be on. Brainstorming and writing. If you've got a problem that you're working on, I asked you to reflect on it earlier, but make sure you actually take time to write out what's going on in your head. Why? Because you literally transfer the thought from your mind to the paper in front of you. What does that do for you? It actually clears up the space in your head so that you can continue thinking about the problem without any other distractions. If it's on a piece of paper in front of you, you can work on it like a puzzle. You can turn it into a game, you can get other people involved with you, and it's not cluttering everything that you got going up on your mind. So take some time and try it out. Write out what's going on. Put it on paper, put it on a whiteboard, okay, and play with that for yourselves. Last thing I want to leave you with is leadership lesson number 11. It's all about other people. What you guys do in your businesses really is all about other people. And when you can put other people first before yourself, chances of success are going to be that much higher. So I'm going to say thank you. If you guys have any questions afterwards, please feel free to come up and talk to me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you to the committee. Thank you, David, and we'll see you next time.